Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Farah Tasif. I'm again with you all with another amazing episode of Global Women Inside. Today, I'm honored that in this episode, I'm again joined by one of the wonderful women in Pakistan, amazing human being, amazing researcher, amazing human rights activist, Miss Rukhshanda Naz. Rukhshanda Naz, let me welcome her in our studios. Assalamu alaikum,
Thank you.
Rukhshanda ji. How are you?
Thank you.
Rukhshanda
I'm
Naz,
fine.
thank you so much. Rukhshanda Naz Sahiba is Ombudsperson, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is a northwest province of Pakistan, and is working on the protection of harassment against women at the workplace. Rukhshanda ji, thank you so much for giving us your valuable time. First of all, I would like to share and I request you to begin who is Rukhshanda Naz and when this amazing journey began.
Thank you. First of all, I'm honored to be part of this initiative because there are a number of other women. They have lot of contribution. So I'm really honored to be a part of Global Women Inside. So my name is Rukhshanda Naz, and because normally people are not familiar with Rukhshanda, they because the Rakshanda is more common
Common.
in
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
but I always keep reminding people, look, I'm Rukhshanda Naz because this name was given to me by my teacher when I was in a school in Quetta. So my uh, teacher said, no, you should be Rukhshanda Naz. So normally your name is from your family. So the name was from the family, but she made the changes in the spelling, so the altogether the meaning get changed. And
Change.
then because that was very nice, I still because I because I was very because it was my first year in the school in nursery. So I only have one aura of my teacher. No, because at that time there was no Facebook, there was
Yes,
no
exactly.
picture, because now people they have their kids photos. And anyhow, because the second for example, the Naz is normally used for my family name, but my all other male my brother and my nephews and my nieces, they all use family name, but I use Naz, not the family name. It's not mean I was shy of my family name, but somehow from very young age, I was a bit. I want to make my own identity,
Oh,
uh, without because when you live in a very traditional family setup, so you want to make something change. So I still remember. From very early age, I want to be independent, and for that reason, I was living because when we moved from Quetta, so we were living in our village house. So I was just thinking I should go somewhere where I can see the outer world and I can take some breathe in an open space, because of course now our family is very changed family, but at that time when we were young there was lot of restrictions. So I thought I must go to the boarding. So I thought boarding must be a will provide me an opportunity to live
independent.
independent life. So then I after my matric exam, so I just announced in the family I want to go to the boarding. So I was the youngest one in the family and very pampered child. So my parents were very scared how she can live outside. I said, no, no, I will go. My father said, no, no, you have to go to the. At that time, now they call FG colleges, but
Mhm.
at that time they were CB college. I said, I'm not going from one school to another. I want to go to the college. I want to be in it. My father said, no, no, no way, no way, you will not go. And then at the age of 15 years, I announced hunger strike against my father. So I think that was my first activism for rights within the family.
Yes.
But I must acknowledge, my father was the one who supported, promoted girls' education in the family. So the next day, the same day, my father went to the government college, 6th Road, Rawalpindi, got admission form for me, and that college was just 45 minutes away from my house, because now people they travel, but at that time I lived in the boarding because I want to live independent. So my father, I still remember, he came back, and he told my mother, I brought her admission form, so tell her she should have her food now. And my father was very strong person in the family. People were, they were, most of the time, they never dared to talk in front of my father, but I announced hunger strike. So that is, and then I was so excited, and I picked my all my stuff. And by the time when I reached to government college, so they said today is the holiday because there is a 6th of September. So I said, oh, okay. Then I just check in the boarding, and again my father came. He thought might be because I was the youngest child. So when he came, because I was also
Exactly.
athlete in my school life. So when he came, I was playing cricket with other hostelites. So I was it. This was beginning of my independent life. Then I graduated from Government College Rawalpindi, and after that thought I must now I go to the for the law, because I was very impressed by Asma Jangir. So I thought I should. And at that time there was play in when I was we were college. There was a play of I think the play name was Neele Hath. That
Oh
was,
yes, yes.
yes.
I
So
still
that
remember.
play was about women
Yeah, exactly.
struggle against Ziaul Haq regime. So I now I realized from my childhood there was. Some activists was hiding in my soul, because I remember when in I was in class 10th and I was playing in outside, because we were living in a village. There was a big mountain, and there were only 10-15 houses. So I was playing cricket outside my house, and I was the only girl among the boys. And my father, he told my mother, look, your daughter is young daughter is playing outside. So I made lot of fuss, because I thought, why if my brother is not forbidden to play outside, so why I'm so moving between all the question and the challenging the stereotyping in my own family. So somehow I was able to get law degree, and then I was very lucky, because when I was studying there, I was part of student union. Then I was also try to take part in some studies. So at that time, because at that time when I was student, I was part of research women living under Muslim law, and I was working on that case law. I was looking into the trend with Dr. Shaheen Sardar Ali. I was assisting her for collecting data from all four superior courts and Supreme Court and Federal Shariat Court. And at that time, I was only focused for my research and my law profession. But inside, activists was always jumping to one to another. So I find there was a case of Shama Parveen, and the Shama Parveen case was from the Ghalane, uh, the ex Fata area Mohammed agency at that time. So she was kidnapped from Fatahjang from Punjab, and she was mentally retarded, but she was raped in the area. But when I saw her file, so I discussed this with my senior. My senior was ex Chief Justice Nasrul Mulk was my senior. So I talked to my senior and I said, look, this girl was raped, but she's charged under Hadood ordinances. So then I discussed this case with my senior, and he motivated me and he said, you should take this case as a test case and you should work on this. So I was also willing because when I saw Shama Parveen was not in good health, so that was not a just case, because then I get involved in all other things, like I was regularly visiting her in the police station. Then because I was being a young lawyer, I didn't had practicing license. So my senior from my chamber, he appeared as a lawyer, and I was doing all the donkey work for this. And then from Peshawar High Court to Federal Shariat Court, and from Federal Shariat Court to APA Court in Ghalane, that was finally we got release of Shama Parveen. And when we got release of Shama Parveen, her family refused to accept her because they said because the rape is a stigma, and the second she spent her time in the prison, so we are not taking. And she was not in a good her mental condition was not good. Then I, being a guardian, and I still remember, Shama Parveen was 32-year-old, and at that time I was 23-year-old. So I become her guardian.
Guardian.
So I when I admit her to the mental hospital, and they said no, because without family we can't give admission, because when people leave their patient, so they never come. I said no, I'm so and so. I'm practicing in a chamber, and then the second thing is because I want to give all sort of surety to cut story short, Shama Parveen finally
Got
we were able for her treatment, and we rehabilitated her to her family. And from her family I only received one letter, and then there was no communication, and hopefully she will be fine. Then my second case was when I was moving around from prison to Landi Kotal. That was the Ashok Kumar case. That was an Indian prisoner with three kids, and we were also. I was able to send that man back to India. But between Shama Parveen and Ashok Kumar, I joined because my senior advised me, you should join an organization because you need support now. So then I joined Aurat Foundation. I started Aurat Foundation office in Peshawar, and then I was working. Then while I was working with Aurat Foundation, I was closely associated with refugee women as well, with refugee issues. So I also worked with the Afghan Women Network and other organizations. Even I set up an Afghan organization where I mentored them as Pakistani organizations working like Seymour Shirkatga Aurat Foundation. So basically, giving them an idea of how one could run a feminist organization. Then I was, because that is a long struggle.
to
During that
yes.
time I was working with setting up institutional framework with support of other civil society organizations. And then I, after working almost 18 years, I decided to take a break, and enhance my qualification. So I went and I got my degree in international law. But in under the international law, again, my main focus was how I can go look into the international criminal law, or a human right, or a gender law as well. At the same time, I was able to change the university rule. So I negotiated with the foreign office, and I said, I'm not going to work on your given 20 hours. Could you allow me for another additional degree? They said you can't have two master together. But I said, look, I'm having 18-year-old experience, so you
Yeah.
have to give me a chance. So I was the lucky one, because then I got in the same university, I got admission in peace and reconciliation studies, and they not only relaxed their rule, they also given me scholarship. And then, but one thing I must say, even while I was doing my LLM, my master in peace and reconciliation studies, I was actively involved with Birmingham Women Networking Hub, Coventry Women Voices, and Asian Women Asian Citizen Network.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I was in UK, I realized, because when you are abroad, so you try to find out where is Pakistan. So
Yes.
I saw I have lot of friends in South Asia, but I was very concerned about the where are Pakistani. So I was trying to represent Pakistan in different forums, and at the same time I was with the Falls Hills Women Resource Center. I was helping senior citizen in a Falls Hills library to learn new skills, and at the same time in the hub church center, I was helping people as a pro bono lawyer. So during my this study, I was trying to enhance my academic qualification. At the same time, being Pakistani, being woman, I was trying to help out my women, my people there, as a pro bono lawyer or a facilitator. So that is my
Yeah, this
thoughts.
is. Oh my goodness. We can sit down and we can listen to you endlessly. I mean, this is amazing, amazing journey that you have. And of course, it's all in you. You built your abilities. You understand yourself, and when the friends who are listening, you understand yourself, you understand who you are, and then you build upon that, as Rukhshanda Ji has done. Of course, when you begin, you understood that you're an activist. You can work for the people around you, right? Rakshantati, you have also won international awards as well, and you have also been recognized by having been projected and being mentioned on several occasions internationally, especially the recent film that we used to discuss while you shared. Can you share about that as well? Yes, yeah, exactly. Your film that you have been in part of, and another is that your awards that you had won for your recognitions. Could you also share that?
That film is not the first film,
Yeah,
because this film now got more promotion,
yeah.
because basically this is the fourth documentary on my work. Because the
Yeah.
same with Sharmeen Ubaid Chennai, there was a documentary on about my work with internally displaced person. And then there was a time when I was trying to set up women crisis center Mera Ghar. So at that time there was a tussle between MMA government, and so when all the stakeholder, they just withdraw their support. So but I'm very much, I must acknowledge the role of Kohart Nazim Malak Asad at that time, and his wife Farhana Asad. They stood after me, and we were able to save that Mera Ghar. And then my two friends, Zubaida Noor and Arshad Haroon, they said, you want to continue with this Mera Ghar, so we are with you. So we support, and with lot of other, because when we registered this Mera Ghar, as a trust, so that even our guard, they also contributed in a trust amount. So I think that was the history. So that was one documentary, and you can see my original incidences shots in that documentary. This basically documentary is about fundraising uh, against for organizations, researchers, activists, those want to work against child marriage. So because child marriage was always very it's this subject was and is very close to my heart, because my mother was very very young bride. Then my elder sister was very young bride. My mother was because my sister was 18, but my mother was younger than 18. So for that reason, I always struggle and give support to young girls against child marriage. And I conducted lot of trainings, seminar to stop child marriage. So I'm part of several organizations in my volunteer capacity to stop child marriage. So then basically I got nominated for several awards, but
Yeah.
I'm very much associated with my own land. So I never I was very happy when first time after 23 years I my role was acknowledged by presidential award on working in FATA area in terms of human rights. And then the next year the provincial government, they acknowledged my role, my work for KP and FATA both at that time. So that was basically I'm not undermining other people appreciation, but I was wanted to acknowledge by my own people, because I feel associated myself with my own land and my own people. So and then there was another, because I was closely working with um local government system.
So,
So in 2000, the local government, they acknowledged my role, and then the National Commission on the Status of Women and different people, they acknowledge my role. So the main thing is I do appreciate, and I'm thankful the people, they nominated me for these awards. But when a woman or a man, when I meet with them, and they give their appreciation to me, so I always find them as I feel it's a, for example, when I still remember I went to the, because I was regular visitor to the Peshawar prison. So
prison.
uh, in a women prison, when I entered, so one of the prisoners, she said, आज मौसम बहुत अच्छा था तो हमने कहा बाजी आएगी. So they were
Oh,
associating me with a nice wonderful weather. So that such unique things sometime, no matter how tired you are, no matter how you are struggling for your against the odds, when you receive such appreciation, so you will see. So
yeah.
so
I
there
mean,
are
number of amazing. I mean, these are the appreciations, and I think that I would not ask you that what things have, what make you keep going all these years. So your reward is your connection with the people and how they appreciate you, not the, I mean, worldly awards. You work for those. I mean, I seen you working for those people who are not having any means of reaching to the legal system, and especially women. You've been into the day and nights working for
women
them.
and
Schools, yes,
transgender
children. Yeah, exactly.
children, trans people live in the margins. then the people in a small ethnic groups represent, then the religious minorities. My most of the cases, by nature, I'm a peace activist as well. So, for example, I don't believe on boundaries. I don't believe, I love my country, but associating myself with people, I don't believe on either the any boundary set up by religion or by your geographical
Gender,
area or your ethnicity, any sort of.
any
So, for that reason, because I dealt with cases of Afghan refugees, I dealt with in cases of Indian prisoners. Recently, in a recent past, in 2018, Hamid Nihal Ansari case was projected in media, both sides the media and internationally. So for me is basically human right violation or a women right violation is violation, and the person is person for me. His or her identity is not important to me in this regards.
Anyhow, Rukhshanda, over the time period since you began your activism and, of course, your work, you've been associated to various international, of course, local organizations as well. You have contributed a lot. And my question would be that over the time period, what are the strains of challenges that you faced, apart from patriarchy or apart from any challenge that you see, and how have you overcome that? I mean, and how your people around you had contributed and supported you over the time period.
Thank you. The one thing I want to connect with the previous thing, what keep me to just keep
Going.
moving or going. So basically, I'm a dreamer, and I'm very optimistic person because I try for things. So I never think, okay, let's go and you will have this. So I if I one thing I need to try more than 10 times. So I'm willing to go for 10 times, because every time I go with the hope, might be this time this will be done. Might be this time I will achieve. So one thing, because if you are optimistic and a dreamer, you will get something definitely. Challenges were always there, because I know in 2000, when there was a very hard time for me, and then there are many people around the development network in a right based organizations, and them. They know my situation, and I took a break from the picture, like from the larger picture, but again I come back with my own strength. So they were the one thing, because it's not easy, because if you have a look on my cases I dealt with, these were not normal cases. Either the cases of missing person, either the cases of patriarchy in a society, where the forced marriage or honor crime, and the child custody. So there was many a time when people publicly they threatened me, but I'm very lucky person, because every time I got support from somewhere, either from the administration, from the government side, either from my own network. So one thing I uh, must say, because if people think I have some connection, family connection, or some connection with the authority, so I started as a single human rights activist in my chamber, and with my single identity I try to link up. And I the one thing which really helped me, because I always try to gather people uh,
Yes.
around the issue. So then you make people with you, so automatically you make a movement for the issue. So in this movement there was number of time when they were in Sawat, there were issue of when Taliban occupied that area. So at that time I was part of Aman Tehreek. Then overall against extremism and militarization. I was part of Aman Ittihad. When I came back from UK, then I again joined my previous network, and I was always part of South Asian and International Peace Network. Then I joined the Women Regional Network with India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and now Sri Lanka and other countries. So Africa and other countries are also part of. So basically, my I feel my role is to contribute in a process where ultimately, if I'm not, but my next generation can live in a peaceful environment. And the second challenge, because the one challenge was because nature of the cases, and the second challenge was because there are a lot of issues where people get together easily. For example, if I start collecting some charity in the name of religion or in the name of some stereotype which we normally have in like dowry, and so people get together very easily. But on the other side, if I'm saying don't get dowry because dowry is illegal, or
Yeah.
give education to your daughters, not give dowry to your daughter, don't kill your daughters, your daughter, give inheritance right to your daughter. So such things where the personal interest of several people are connected, so they can easily manipulate religion against you. They can say, oh, because I still remember in Deer, when one of the MNA, he said, oh, she's East India Company, although she say I'm very much associated with. So, so somehow I never get angry with such remarks, because there are
Yes.
a senior
Never
person said,
saw you angry. I mean,
so I still remember in 2000 when there was a banner, and I was working with Aurat Foundation. So one of my colleague came, and she said, "Oh, in Banu there are banner," and they said young beautiful girls are in the area, because my colleagues were having trainings about how to run your election campaign to the for
exactly.
women councillors and the vote. So they were very tense. And I said, look, just be happy. They are saying you are young and
You're
beautiful.
beautiful.
So, you need such type of
Yeah, exactly.
attitude.
Positive.
Otherwise, when you interact with women survivors, when you interact with people like their life is so miserable. So, how come you give strength to them if you
Yeah,
are depressed? So, the
exactly.
basically, it's this is the second challenge. The third challenge now I'm looking, because no doubt, because I saw in pandemic and this COVID-19 brought out lot of new faces in the humanitarian sector. Youngsters are coming. They are on a surface. They are trying to work, but this is basically reaction of, because there is a lot of things about issues on the social media and on the news. So to some level there are sympathies, they are also scared. But in a long run, people, and especially the young people, they are not willing to work with the local organizations. They are not willing to work, or they, from university, they think they should go to the directly to the UN. They should go directly to the
Exactly.
international organization. So I always advise them, look, if you are going to just work with directly with INGO or UN, you will never get the sense of your local uh, realities. Your local realities are totally different, and you will go far away from the people. So because I try to motivate them. I was part of mentor for some program where I was talking to young people. So this is, but again, I'm not. I'm very much. I hoping. No doubt, if larger group is not coming, so every time there are one or two youngster who will join the stream like us, or might be like our मतलब हमारे सर पिरे ग्रुप जैसा कोई होगा
जो कोई मिल जाएगा.
मिल
So
जाएगा.
my friends who have joined me just right now, we are into an amazing episode of Global Women Insight, and joined by Rukhshanda Saiba, who is Ombudsperson of KP on protection of women, harassment of women against at the workplace. An amazing conversation is going on, and if you have questions, do ask right now, because we will be live and we are having this conversation upon on issues related to not only women but children as well, and of course the young people we have been discussing. Rukhshanda ji, also tell us about your current office, Ombudsperson, being in KP, and that too, looking after women issues there in the office and of course workplace, and then you're also looking after your own activism. How you are working, balancing the two, or you had bring your strength to the office, and what that office does, or what are the what are the authorities, what are the all the what is happening in this office. And I have seen you struggling, I have seen you working, building this office from the scratch, and I hope that we will learn from your experience, especially. And the second part of my question would be related to, since it's harassment of women at workplace, what the recent scenarios had brought a lot of complaints to your office? What kind of complaints that you're seeing in your office right now? So first the mandate and then the office again.
Thank you for it, because this ombudsperson for protection of women against harassment at the workplaces, the new office. The law was passed in 2010, but in 2019, KP government they established this office after 9 years of passing law, and we started this office in a very limited space. But you know how I link this office with my activism. The first of all, I set up, I call all my civil society organization, all the government institution, human right institution. So the first of all, we formed the group of civil society and the government human right machinery to work around the harassment, against the harassment issues. Then we formed the committee of only the human right machinery, how we can have the stronger referral mechanism if the cases are related to cyber crime. Then the third stage, we announce focal person at each districts, because this office is based in Peshawar. So how come a woman sitting in Kuram district or Adir and in different areas? So then with the collaboration of social welfare, and I'm very much thankful to the Secretary Social Welfare, Idris Saab, and then Ziaullah Khatak was there at that time, the law secretary. Both I went there and I said, we have to give some infrastructure, because this office you started with very limited resources and staff, but I know the cases are huge. So they said, yes, we are agree, and whatever you want to do, we are with you. So then we were the first ombudsperson office. We announced our pro bono lawyers with support of law department. So with each district attorney was not only notified as pro bono lawyer at the district level. Now they are based at the deputy commissioner office. At the same time, we declare social welfare offices, district offices, as a post office for women they want to apply, they want to reach. So basically, the one side we were receiving application, and this is not only for women, any man, a person from the transgender community. Law is equally beneficial for men, women, and transgender. And On the other side, we started sending letter to each institution mentioned in the law about the setting up standing inquiry committees. We not only try to notify, send through letters. We pushed our government and non-government organization associations, and luckily we were able, in the first year we were able to have inquiry committees, 100% inquiry committees in the the government institution, then Chamber of Commerce. We try to end the media, and we not only we are receiving cases directly through our email by visiting office, through our focal persons and the district attorneys at the district level. We are also register ourselves on the Pakistan Citizen Portal, and
Okay.
every means where people can through technology. And so we try to set up that outreach, because outreach and the access to justice is basically my entire life I spend on the issue of access to justice. So I know how these system mechanisms need to be strengthened. So this is, and then with my civil society organizations, we went into partnership, and I clearly mentioned to them, don't bring resources to us, just go to the community and create awareness. And luckily, there are number of organizations, they are partner with us, and they are creating awareness. And we not only monitor the how organizations are setting up, notifying their committees, we make them bound to share their information. The Ombudsperson office has have complete database. You can get this information from the Ombudsperson office, how many committees are set up, what are their number, email addresses. And then we already have 5 round of trainings for committees, where they can understand their role. So from 2019, because in 2018 when they announced, cabinet took this decision, and from our cabinet decision was done on 2nd January 2019, and on 22nd January they notified, they issue my notification, and we started our office from 1st of February. So in 11th month time, we can easily, now we can claim we have more than 57 cases with us. And in 2000 November 2019, we got another jurisdiction of Women's Right to Property Act 2019. Under that act, we also got 33 cases, and in these cases we are in a process. But unfortunately, because we are now the government institution, we are trying to facilitate people, but we can't have our proceedings because of this COVID-19. The process is now on hold. You might know, in Peshawar High Court also, there some areas they now just sealed because of coronavirus positive cases there. So, but anyhow, we are very much hoping this situation will be over and we will resume. But on the other side, we are working. We already prepare information material, and in a then also we are working with closely with media. We already prepared code of conduct for PAMRA, how they should report harassment cases in the media, because one of the challenge for us is the people, they are reluctant, and especially the young girls, they are reluctant if they come to the ombudsperson office. So might be this will be stigma for to them. So people who are watching or listening this conversation, I want to assure them their cases will be totally confidential. If we are talking about database, So the database about inquiry committee is accessible, but the database about the cases of harassment is not accessible for public. We just made this database to see the trend of harassment and how, in which area there are more cases are coming for harassment, to have to take some policy initiative to make our services more effective. But this is not for public access, the main detail. People will get the compile analysis, but they can't access your information. So this is basically in a 13 months time, we try to contribute and to run this office with true spirit of human rights institution.
Amazing again. Your office in 13 months' time done a lot of work that, I mean, if headed by someone else, amazing work. My question again would be, since you had spent a lot of work and spent a lot of coordinating and supporting the young women and old women and those who are sufferers, and all ages, all genders.
Mhm.
Rukhshanda ji, all these years, what you had find strains of challenges to the women who are facing, especially living in society like Pakistan, or you had also moved around in international level on different countries. I know you had been traveling a lot and representing Pakistan as well. So, what are the challenges the women are facing in this 20th century, where we are technologically fast, we had education, we can have access to knowledge, but still we are facing those challenges which are, I mean, which can be removable, which can be solvable. And people like you who have been struggling so far and over the years have been struggling, what are the challenges still existing in our societies that can be easily removable, but we can't do it? We are not willing to do it. So it's not only Pakistan, but I'm talking about global women challenges right now.
The global women challenges, we all women are basically connected with or struggling against our, how you say, the patriarchal system, because patriarchy has different shapes and form at different level. So this is basically the one reason we women are get connected, because our pain is the same. Then, particularly if you are narrow your analysis to the South Asia, the South Asia is very much traditional, and every and the rise of religious extremism get connected with your traditional things, and people are imposing things on you in the name of religion. So I think this is the one area we should. I always find very difficult, because people have their own interpretations and their own how you say, their own ideology, because and particularly when with this clash of ideology, sometime it's really negatively impacted women's life, because you can see the entire issue of Talibanization in this region. So this is basically, I think, this is the challenge. In terms of local issues, in the local issues, I think the poverty is one of the issue. Then the gender roles, because we need to change our gender roles. Otherwise, this society is not going to change. So when we talk about changing gender roles, it's not mean we are saying the women become men and men become women, but the gender roles are how you develop your understanding with a father understanding with her daughter, husband and wife understanding, brother and sisters understanding of their issues, giving them equal opportunities to get education, or if they want to excel in a profession. For example, we saw where the men in the family are willing to give space to women. So I think the women, they are, Malala Yousafzai, and lot of other, if I can name, there are list of women. They are in different field. Now they are contributing according to their profession. So this is just because there any man in the family is behind with them. So I think this is basically the reason why
I think there must be some issues with Rakshanda's internet. But however, my friends, if you have questions, you can also ask Rakshanda ji about her office, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where she has established this amazing office. And you can also ask questions to her, especially related to her work.
so
And
sorry,
I can
there was
imagine.
a
We were
due to
just saying,
rain, there
yes,
was
we
a
are.
power cut.
It's all right. We can imagine because it's so normal to have these kind of technological issues. We were just sharing that you must have a technology issue, and such an amazing conversation that we were having. Rakshanda ji, thank you so much. You can now settle down, and those people who are just joined me, we are having a conversation with Rakshanda Naz, who is an Ombudsperson, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, on protection against harassment at workplace. An amazing, illustrious career all those years and a born activist, I must say. And it's the girls who are watching me right now or listening to us, you must hear and you must ask questions how these women rights activists and human rights activists are working, how they are making the spaces together, and how they are building their spaces, their allies, and not creating any kind of conflict rather than helping. They're creating the spaces, and as Rakshanda ji has said, you see that in her office in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, she has built allies around her so that her work can be amplified. Rakshanda ji, many people might be listening to us, they might be hearing us. What you say that how can we prepare, especially as you are a mentor, of course, and your own career has I mean, documented so well across the world, people are learning from you, and then you can share the young people how they can be prepared for themselves, especially these challenging times that we are having in terms of this coronavirus or anything like that. These challenges are also helping us because before you cut down, we were discussing about several challenges, and these challenges are often helping us to grow. Don't you agree on that?
I fully agree with you, because the one thing I want to, because the if young people are listening there, or people want to join in this field of human right struggle, the one thing, and I always say people, you have to read something, because
Yes.
if you don't read, research, if you want to work about child right, if you want to work on human trafficking, if you want to work on any area, environment, all need research. Because when you want to raise some issue, at the same time you are doing advocacy, and always in advocacy you need numbers, you need some good number where you can make your point. Look, so many people are dying. For example, recently we say, look, number of coronavirus are cases are increasing, so we have to do social distancing, we have to do our precautions, where we can fight against this pandemic. So I think this is basically the research. And then about the topic, if you want to work and you really want to work, so your research always prove you this is your issue, this is not the other issue. This is your issue. When young girls are dying during the childbirth, this is
Yes.
child marriages are issue. In which
Yes.
area? Where are where is the supply side of young girls in the name of marriage for trafficking? So the one thing is knowledge, research, and the second, devise one step, the first step, because
Yes.
you are not going to achieve your goal in a one go. So the second is connecting with people, setting up goal, connecting with people, and try to negotiate with people. And I still believe, when almost this is my 28th year, 28th year ago, there were people, they were very negative. They suspected me because of my language, my background, but then they stood by me, because that happened because of open negotiation. You have to negotiate with people. You can't expect from people, you are not interacting with them, you are not negotiating, they will change your mind. So I think the connecting with people. The third thing is basically documentation.
Yes.
Documentation is very necessary. Whenever you do something, you make your documentation. With documentation you can say, look, this is, I'm working for since so and so years. So there is a difference. The how now the current situation of internal displacement or a trafficking got the new shape. How this new the issue of child marriage is now linked to the entire HIV thing, because the trafficking is, especially the women trafficking is the basically the sex trade in the international market.
Yes, sir.
So after having this HIV, how many, what is the number of, how
Yes.
you number get increase for the demand for the young girls? Why there is a, this is not just the tradition, this is also the, it's said as another aspect. And the fourth thing is, because you set the target, you try to connect with the policy forums, because without connecting, no doubt you are, not every person will go to the policy forums, but they can connect with the policy forum, giving some volunteer time to the networks.
Yes,
Already
sir.
people are working, and joining them, with this they can easily go and
Yes. Yes.
and the last challenge is this technology. Because we have to
Yes, this technology is
involve
creating
with this technology.
last
Technology is
year.
basically,
Oh, thank you so much, Rukhshanda ji. You had explained very well, because people, young people, they say before we, do anything, we can jump into executive tables, and of course, or be into an ING or anywhere higher. And you had aptly said that over the years you had worked so well that you had reached such position after working hard, working, connecting with people, and whatever you are saying, all these challenges you had worked yourself. Rashanda ji, how important is that woman like you or many others who are important, having illustrious careers, having the knowledge of importance of women issues, and of not only women issues, they know about businesses, they are in the media, they are in bureaucracy, they also are in several important, their own civil society roles. How important you think that women should be sitting on the policy tables, and as we say that women should be on the table, on should be on the decision making table, especially when you're talking about women rights, and child rights, and talking about women issues. I see that everything that we do, for example, economy, you think about politics, you think about security, it all revolves around us women. So why we are not on the table? What do you think
You
about
know,
that?
for us, we are from the generation when I started my activism. At that time, there was a move of, because that was the time of Beijing, and Beijing platform of action, and the one main slogan was women 33% quota for women at all level, and women should be on the negotiation table. So since then, whether women, because uh, with my other civil society organization, I was very instrumental in getting a resolution from the KP Assembly about women representation. And before this 17 constitutional amendment, I think all over the country, this issue of movement of 33% really contributed, and women were able to get position on a reserve seat in local government system, at the same time in the parliament. But I think recently I talked about gender audit. We should have our gender audit in Pakistan, because still women are not occupying position on the 10% quota given in government services. At the same time, if you see in the media, you can just have conduct a survey how many women, their anchor person, they are having a very serious program or a serious role. Otherwise, in most of the program, they just give women token participation, and then a very funny role to women in a current affairs program. So the same, the
Yes.
thing, you need to have a gender audit of women role and their positioning on, and you can review how many standing committees has women chairperson of standing committee if they are not part of the cabinet as minister. So this is basically how many, because there is a glass ceiling for women, particularly on a certain positions, government positions. There is a glass ceiling. You can't see women in judiciary, you can't see women in a higher bureaucracy. So then how come you will see the women on a different position? Then this is a dilemma in our society, because whenever our uh, governments or our bureaucracy, they go to the negotiation, they are always very on a defensive side, especially when they are in negotiation with religious extremists. Because I still remember at the time of Malakand agreement. At that time, uh, Sufi Muhammad was more in a stable position as compared to our government at that time, and they didn't allow the only minister at that time to sit on a negotiation table. And at that time, the government, they accepted this demand of the religious group. So this is basically, if you once you decide, Now women are active part of your public life. They in every field they contributed, so they have the guts to negotiate. So I think this is, you need just the only political will to uh, ensure women on the policy making table. So
Hmm. Amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Rakshanda ji. It's such an honor to have you on the show, and there are a lot of people who are being join us now. They can ask a lot of questions from Rakshanda ji. Over the years, she has worked so well for not only women, for not only children, but also transgender, on those people who are religious minorities and across the border. As she said, she is beyond borders, a lawyer for women beyond borders. Isn't it a good sign for you, Rakshanda ji? Lawyer
yes.
without border. Really?
Mm.
Shantaji, you are really well said that often it happens that the mainstream media is not projecting women issues and women presenting them as a better manner. So this global woman insight is one of the small attempt to present women to the world that yes, we are existing, we can be on the table, we are here, listen to us, see amazing women, listen to them, and we should be heard, right? Rakshanda ji, another important question that you I need to ask you is about the power of knowledge. Many people, I've seen you over the time period. Whenever I talk to you, you're full of knowledge, and the amazing conversation that I had before you with many women who are at the leadership positions are having the knowledge. But the young people who are currently moving along, they say ठीक है पता चल जाएगा हमें मिल जाएगा हमें मालूम हो जाएगा लेकिन the importance of knowledge or power of knowledge, how you had utilized your research, your knowledge in making the policymakers heard, and asking them, yes, these are the issues, these are the reasons, you need to listen to us and then you need to make the policies. So power of knowledge.
Power of knowledge. I don't blame our youth, because under the power of knowledge, how much we mentor them. For example, when we were in our colleges, our schools, university, there were associations, there were the forums with the university and colleges. Now our universities and our colleges, they don't give enough time for the extracurricular activities, especially if you see our school and colleges. So I think that is the one reason. And the second reason is because our most of private institution, if they give forum to our youth to for extracurricular activities, they are uh, so occupied with capitalist agenda. They are pushing our youth to the consumerism. They are celebrating festival with lot of putting pressure on the parents, where they are just going to spend money. And then, but there are avenues where the students need to gain knowledge. So basically I took this responsibility, being part of that group, whether we are as age or as associated. When I feel myself and our generation responsible for such behavior. And the second, because this capitalist agenda is so powerful, they occupied your internet, and the internet is more powerful tool now. So your
Yes.
internet, what sort of things your internet is selling? Your internet is selling brand. Your internet is selling artificial life through
Yes.
games. So your youth is more focused for such time of entertainment, which is keeping them distant from your your real life issue. the one thing. So I think the power of knowledge, I always find the thing which I when I told you earlier, because the documentation, power
Yes.
knowledge always built on your documentation. Whenever you raise any issue or work on any issue, get the data, get the basic information, get the basic different perspective on this issue. Why this issue is like this, how, for example, I also try to look into the for and against both, because sometime on our issue we lose our objectivity. So
Yeah.
if you are working on an issue, if you are not keeping having you are not keeping your objectivity, so then you are partisan or a biased. So I think that is also because you can't rely just on your knowledge. You are full of knowledge, so you will win your argument. But if you have this experience or not, but sometimes we are very snobbish people, and we think the people living in cities, they are more wiser than people in working in village area. So when people working in a village area, when you get interacting with them, you will easily get to know with their one sentence with you will put you down. For example, I remember
Always.
some year ago we were going to Noshera on our vehicle, and we were traveling, and that was also month of Ramzan. So we were traveling, and there was some issue. Our car was broke down on the way to Noshera. So other colleague said, okay, I will take this vehicle and park somewhere, so you can just go to the meeting place, because that meeting was fixed on a iftar party. So I was sitting in a bus, and my other colleague was there, and there were two, three women sitting on the same bus. And I saw that was like some domestic help, and they were going back to their house after serving any family. So when by the time conductor came to me, and I just take out my big note to the conductor, and the other woman, that domestic worker, she said, this fare is high, because she was so amazed with my big note, because she want to tell me this bus fare is very small. So the other women, she said, this is not her problem, fear is not her, because she looked at my appearance, my note, and then she said, this is not her problem. So that sentence, because I am talking
Yes.
way back 20 years, but still sometime when I think, so I said, look, the wisdom, because this woman, she in a
Wisdom.
second she realized the because for her as domestic
The
servant,
appearance.
going for the workplace and
Yes.
coming back, every penny is very important. But for a
Important.
woman with different get up, with different note, the money is not her problem. So this need to we understand, to get wisdom on the basis of people experience. They live their lives, and they learn how the life, when the life teach you, that is totally different knowledge, and your personal experiences are totally powerful knowledge for you.
Relatable. Thank you so much, Rukhshanda ji. Your last message to my viewers who are watching right now. What is your crux of your life? What is your message to them? Or listening, I mean, from across the world, they might be listening, or from Pakistan, they might be listening.
The one thing is, I always say, be calm. Patience is basically, because when you are a calm person, you can fought longer. You need to, and then peace, because in any situation, when we talk about peace, so you have to maintain peace within your family, because and the families, when from family to the community, this piece also matter. And I think, I always say, be optimistic. Why we should pessimistic? Because if you are
Exactly.
optimistic, you find ways. Otherwise you just leave your, I don't want to use the word battle, even in a positive sense, because I don't want to use, but your struggle. For example, if you're, I, rather than using battle, want to use the struggle. So for your struggle, you need to be a optimistic person. Positivity is very uh, important for you. The positive person, optimistic person, can continue her or his struggle with determination.
Thank you so much, Rakshanda ji. This was such an amazing conversation, and it's hearing you and especially seeing you practicing what your message is: calmness, peacefulness, and of course optimism. Always, I've seen you working, and believe you me, friends, Rakshanda knows whatever she had shared with you. She's practicing herself for the last since I met and since his working experience. So this was amazing. Rukhshanda Nal Sahiba, who is currently heading the Ombudsperson office in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa on protection of women against harassment at the workplace, a illustrious career. You can also see this video, this conversation at our YouTube channel as well. Global Women Inside is a conversation with amazing women, finding them, discovering them on a different note. You know them, but you know them on a different level when you will be seeing this Global Woman Insight. Thank you so much, everyone, and good night. Thank you so much, Rakshanda ji, for being with us. I hope that your message of peace, calmness, and of course, optimism, especially in these challenging times, will work with all of us. Thank you so much, and good night, everyone.
Thank you.